I ain't gonna be the one looking after the old lady. My husband's sharp words sliced through the air, echoed by my sister-in-law's agreement. Stunned, my brother-in-law and I exchanged glances, frozen in disbelief. Why don't you and Sarah take care of her if you're so concerned? We don't need the burden of an old woman in our home, spat my sister-in-law, her tone dripping with disdain. My husband remained silent, his lack of remorse chilling. How could they discard their own parents so callously, those who had raised and loved them? Anger simmered within me for the first time in my life. But my husband and sister-in-law were blind to a surprising truth about my mother-in-law. Sarah and her family will be taking care of me. Do you think 1 million will cover the car and accessible living accommodations? The revelation stunned us all, my mother-in-law's unexpected declaration hanging heavy in the air. In that moment, my husband and sister-in-law unwittingly sealed their fate, oblivious to the consequences of their words. My name is Sarah. At 40, I found solace in my career as an art teacher, inspired by my parents' artistic legacy. I married Gavin, Emily's son, and we raised 2 beautiful daughters, Autumn and Kate. Life was peaceful until the harsh reality struck. My mother-in-law suffered a stroke. She had always been a kind soul, treating me like her own daughter since childhood. But after Ryder, my father-in-law, passed away, she seemed to lose her spirit. I noticed a change in my mother-in-law's demeanor and made it a point to visit her often with my kids. We'd spend quality time together, even venturing out on outings that seemed to lift her spirits. But one day, I received a frantic call from my children informing me that she had collapsed. Without a second thought, I rushed to the hospital, hastily explaining the situation to my understanding boss at the art school where I taught. Upon arrival, I was met with a scene that left me speechless. My husband, sister-in-law, and kids were engaged in a heated exchange. Dad, Aunt, why would you say something like that? Grandma is your real mom, right? My children's innocent voices pleaded, only to be met with my husband's sharp retort. Shut up. You kids have no business in this. Keep your mouth shut. Witnessing my husband shouting at our children in the hospital, and my sister-in-law glaring at them, I intervened, desperately trying to diffuse the tension. What's going on here? Calm down, I urged, struggling to catch my breath. But instead of cooperation, my husband and sister-in-law unloaded the situation onto me and swiftly left. It wasn't the first time my husband had treated our children and me differently, showing little concern for our well-being. Despite his part-time job, which kept him occupied for 4 days a week, he failed to contribute significantly to our family's finances. Worse yet, he squandered what little he earned on himself, leaving little for our needs. His absence extended beyond his job, with him rarely present at home. Even when he was preoccupied with his phone or lost in a comic book, ignoring my pleas for help with household chores and quality time with our kids. It was a stark contrast to the generosity we had experienced from my parents-in-law's friends when we first started our family. I never imagined our life would take this turn. It leads me to question if I should have given more thought to my choice of life partner. As for my sister-in-law, she mirrors my husband's indifference towards me, our children, and even our mother-in-law. It's not just with her, she treated my father-in-law the same when he was alive. Her sole interest seems to be her job as a hostess where she entertains young men. Consequently, she neglects household chores and caring for our shared home. Whenever our mother-in-law attempts to communicate with her, she snaps back with disdain, prioritizing her own time and needs. The saying, "the same parents' hearts are unknown to their children," couldn't ring truer in this situation, or rather, it's even worse. Witnessing such atrocious behavior from my husband and sister-in-law left me speechless. Yet amidst this turmoil, my main concern remained with my mother-in-law, who was undergoing surgery. Prayers for her well-being filled my thoughts as I navigated through the chaos. Amidst it all, a familiar face arrived at the hospital, someone I had called on our way there. "Sister-in-law, how is Mom doing?" Shane, my husband's younger brother, stood before me, accompanied by his wife Maya and their twin daughters who were the same age as our children. Panting and drenched in sweat, they had rushed to be with us. Shane had found success as a novelist, his hobby-turned-career flourishing after one of his novels became a hit online during his university days. He married Mia 2 years after graduating and welcomed twin daughters. Now, they lived peacefully in the city, away from the family home. "She's still in surgery. It's uncertain what will happen," I informed them, grateful for their presence amidst the uncertainty. I wished I could offer words of reassurance, But faced with such uncertainty, my attempts felt feeble. However, the younger brother-in-law appeared slightly relieved, a stark contrast to the tension radiating from his older siblings. Unlike my husband and sister-in-law, he genuinely cared for us and our mother-in-law. Concerned about her aging and widowhood, he remained in close contact, frequently bringing his family back to their parents' house to check on her. These visits served as a source of comfort and strength for our mother-in-law. My in-laws, inherently kind souls, always avoided unnecessary conflict with my husband, sister-in-law, and brother-in-law since childhood. Sadly, this may have inadvertently contributed to my husband and sister-in-law's current demeanor. Yet amidst the discord, my brother-in-law emerged as a beacon of decency. Hours later, the surgery concluded and the doctor ushered us into a small room. "We've done all we could. She'll survive, but there will be lingering effects. She'll require round-the-clock care," the doctor disclosed, leaving us breathless. The prospect of my mother-in-law's recovery filled me with hope. Neglecting her care would mean enduring more interactions with my husband and sister-in-law than I cared for. Despite our reservations, my brother-in-law and I resolved to involve them. After thorough explanation and persuasion, they reluctantly agreed. Gathering at my in-laws' house, we convened a meeting while our mother-in-law remained hospitalized. Both my husband and sister-in-law attended, but their demeanor quickly soared as complaints poured forth. They adamantly declared their disinterest in caring for our mother-in-law. "I've taken care of that old hag." "Same here." Those appalling words from my husband left both my brother-in-law's family and me frozen. "Brother, sister, don't joke at a time like this. If you won't look after her, what's going to happen to Mom? Why should we care? You and Sarah can take care of her," my sister-in-law dismissively replied, fiddling with her beautifully manicured nails. My husband, too, nodded with a bored expression etched on his face. "Then we should consider placing mother-in-law in a nursing home." "What nonsense. You're suggesting we use our money for that old woman? A nursing home? Are you kidding? That's just throwing money down the drain." My brother-in-law finally erupted at their outrageous remarks. "So you're seriously abandoning Mom, not willing to care for her or even put her in a facility? Shane, you're being annoying. If you're so concerned, why don't you and Sarah take care of her? We don't need a senile old creature around," my sister-in-law spat out, her expression deeply exasperated. My husband, too, showed signs of frustration. Unable to stay silent any longer, I interjected, "Hold on, what's the meaning of this? She's your mother, and Gavin's and Shane's right. As if we cared just because she's our mom. Why do you assume we have to take care of her? Shane is her son too, so you and Shane can take care of her. Sarah, you don't have formal qualifications, but you've been caring for Mom almost every day, right? So looking after her should be a piece of cake for you, right?" With that, my sister-in-law smirked in the most disgusting way, and I no longer had the energy to argue. The situation was the same for my brother-in-law's family. We decided to bring this issue up with mother-in-law first. As we were leaving their home, my husband smirked unpleasantly, saying he wouldn't be coming home until this issue was settled. That they would so easily abandon their own mother, who had raised and loved them, left me in disbelief. For the first time in my life, I felt a deep sense of dismay. Days later, a deep anger simmered within me as my brother-in-law's family, and I visited the hospital where mother-in-law lay admitted. Stepping into her hospital room, we were met with a faint smile on her lips, a feeble attempt to mask her pain. "Oh, Sarah and Shane, I'm sorry for being a bother," she murmured weakly. Each visit, she'd apologize, tugging at our hearts. "Mom, don't say such things. Look, we've brought your favorite grapes and pears. If there's anything else you'd like to eat, just tell us, and we'll get it for you," I reassured her, offering a semblance of comfort amidst the sterile hospital setting. While mother-in-law's spirits had improved, her condition remained precarious. As a side effect mentioned by the doctor, she had become paralyzed on her right side, rendering simple tasks like eating an arduous feat, necessitating assistance from the nurses. Confronted with her frailty, my brother-in-law's family and I shared a silent resolve. We knew we needed to confront my husband and sister-in-law, proposing the idea of living together to care for her. "I can't believe Olivia and Gavin would do such a thing to me," mother-in-law sighed, her voice tinged with sadness. In that moment, a pang of realization struck me. She must have sensed deep down that returning home might no longer be an option. Despite it being her own house, my sister-in-law and her husband resided there. The bitter irony wasn't lost on me. Knowing their disposition, They likely treat mother-in-law like a nuisance, a burden to be managed. As frustration clouded my thoughts, I couldn't shake the looming dread of my husband and sister-in-law's return, likely coercing my mother-in-law into some sort of care facility. But amidst my turmoil, mother-in-law surprised us all with an unexpected request. "Sarah, could you please fetch the banking card from the drawer of that desk over there?" With a solemn expression, she pointed to the drawer adjacent to her hospital bed. Inside lay valuable items, including the banking card I had previously brought her from her home during the hospital visit. Perplexed by her request, I retrieved the card nonetheless. With a sense of urgency, she opened it before us, revealing its contents to my brother-in-law, his wife, and me. "I've got savings here. Could you, Shane, make use of it?" Her words left us stunned. The balance displayed on the card surpassed anything we had ever seen. In that moment, I resolved to confront my husband and sister-in-law with something unexpected. A few days later, my brother-in-law and I summoned our spouses for a crucial meeting at mother-in-law's hospital. Their disdain was evident upon hearing the venue, but curiosity piqued when we mentioned that mother-in-law had important matters to discuss regarding her future. They likely assumed she had decided to relinquish the house and, of course, the money. The next day, they arrived at mother-in-law's hospital room, greeted by a gathering of myself, our children, brother-in-law, and his family. Their expressions soared as they questioned our presence. "Why are all of you here?" "Mom, we just want clarification. What exactly do you plan to do?" As questions lingered in the air, mother-in-law's face remained solemn, her response forthcoming. "I have asked Sarah and Shane to gather you all here because I have crucial matters to discuss about our future," mother-in-law began. Tone firm yet somber. My husband and sister-in-law exchanged puzzled glances, unsure of what to expect. Taking a deep breath, mother-in-law continued, "As per your wishes, I will move out once I am discharged. I will no longer show up in front of you or interfere with your lives ever again." The gravity of her words hung heavy in the air as my husband and sister-in-law stared at her, their expressions akin to deer caught in headlights. "Sarah and Shane have filled me in on everything," mother-in-law continued, addressing their discomfort head-on. "The conversation you had about me in my house, the way you called me a terrible burden and planned to cast me out. I know it all." Before my husband and sister-in-law could respond, mother-in-law silenced them with a stern gaze. "Hold on, the conversation isn't over yet," she admonished, redirecting their attention back to her. "In exchange for my departure and our final goodbye, I'm asking both of you to leave the house as well," mother-in-law declared firmly. "Naturally, I will be cutting ties and excluding you from any inheritance." The shock on my husband and sister-in-law's faces was palpable. "From now on, I will be in Sarah's care. As I mentioned before, would 1 million suffice to make the house accessible and purchase a new car?" mother-in-law inquired, her gaze unwavering. Upon her insistence, I retrieved the banking card tucked away in my pocket and presented it to my husband and sister-in-law. Their disbelief was evident as they stared at the balance displayed on the card. 1 million? How? What's happening? It's impossible, my husband stammered, confusion etched on his face. "It's your father's legacy money. He'd been saving all this time," mother-in-law explained calmly, revealing a truth that had been kept hidden from them. Their speechlessness mirrored our own from days before. As mother-in-law concluded her revelation, the weight of the truth settled over us all. "I was planning to split this money between you two, but after understanding your true feelings, I've changed my mind, Olivia Gavin. You are no longer my children. I want you to leave this house." My mother-in-law's voice cut through the air, her tone cold and final. My husband and sister-in-law were jolted back to reality by her abrupt dismissal. "What? What are you saying? Gavin and I are your legitimate children too," my sister-in-law protested, disbelief etched on her face. "The only child I have is Shane. Plus, I have kind daughters-in-law Maya and Sarah. You don't know them. Start packing your belongings now, sever your ties with Shane and Sarah, and leave." Mother-in-law's words were uncompromising, leaving no room for argument. Having only ever known my mother-in-law's gentle demeanor, I was astounded to hear such harsh words from her. Her eyes bore a fierce, determined look, one that brooked no objections from my husband or sister-in-law. Though stunned into silence, I quickly collected myself, pulling out the idea card and placing it next to the bank card. "Here's the thing, Gavin. I'm taking this to City Hall right after I declare what you are." "Are you serious?" My husband's eyes widened in shock at the sight of the divorce application I brandished. This goes to show how much you must despise me, right? Don't worry about Autumn and Kate. I'll take care of them. You just go live your life the way you want to, I declared, my voice steady despite the turmoil raging within me. The revelation sent my husband into a fit of trembling, erupting in a loud outburst. His sister joined in, yelling and lunging at my mother-in-law. Thankfully, my brother-in-law and his wife managed to restrain them, explaining the situation to the nurses who rushed over. Security was soon called, and my husband and sister-in-law were escorted out of the building, their protests echoing through the halls. With the help of a lawyer arranged by my mother-in-law, I initiated divorce proceedings. In the end, I not only received a financial settlement but also custody of our daughters. My mother-in-law's last will and testament ensured her estranged son and daughter wouldn't inherit a thing. The family home was sold, and my ex-husband and his sister were forced to move into a shabby apartment, their constant bickering annoying their landlord and neighbors. Meanwhile, I welcomed my mother-in-law into our home after her discharge from the hospital. Together with my kids, we took care of her, maintaining a peaceful and mutually supportive relationship. Despite the challenges, we found solace in our day-to-day lives, navigating them together in harmony.